Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. The topic to be discussed right now is on the mother or myself send a force. The mother or myself send a force. We are discussing on spiritual force. So it's the spiritual force of the mother and the master. About this we are going to have a brief discussion. Sri Aurobindo quotes, mother or myself send a force. If there is no openness, the force may be thrown back or return. Thrown back or return. So this is there. We are sending a force. There must be some openness. If there is opening, if there is some openness, then it will be acceptable. You will accept it. If there is no openness, this force may be thrown back or return unless you put a great force which is not advisable to do. Suppose two types of things have been said here. We are sending a force, either mother or myself sending a force. If there is openness, it will act. If there is no openness, it will return. For your acceptance, we have to send a still greater force. Put a great force which is not advisable to do. Not advisable because this force you are not also accepting openness to this force. It is not advisable to send a greater force. As from an obstruction or resistance. From an obstruction or resistance. If there is some openness, that is the criteria. That is the criteria. Some openness is the condition. If some openness is there, the force is bound to act. It will act. This action of this force, we are sending. The result may be partial or slow. Even if there is no acceptance, no openness, it will act. But the act will be partial or slow. If there is the full openness or receptivity, if there is full condition is openness. If there is no openness, it will act. So if some action is, if no action, if no opening, then it will return. The greater force to be sent, not advisable. Third, if some partial or if some openness is there, partial or slow. If there is full openness or receptivity, then the result may be immediate. It depends upon your one openness. It depends upon the openness. If there is no openness, it will return back. If some openness, the action will be partial or slow. If full openness or receptivity, the result may be immediate. Of course, there are things that can't be removed all at once. Something there which resists or breaks or actually it resists, stands on the way. It can't be removed. No, this can't be removed at once. Being an old part of the nature, it is still surviving, still existing. It resists, breaks, बाधक बन के खड़ा हो जाता है. इमीडिएटली इसको रिमूव करना बहुत मुश्किल है. इट कैंट बी रिमूव्ड. बट विथ रिसेप्टिविटी, that receptivity, openness, but with receptivity one can be more effectively and rapidly dealt with. That is what more effectively or rapidly dealt with. Some people are so open that that even by writing they get free before the letter reaches us. Most of the time we keep advising, whatever your problems are, you try to write a letter and send to the mother and Sri Aurobindo. Even if physically you don't feel mother is not there physically, send to the ashram, touch the samadhi. Even if you can write a letter and send the photo right at your home. So here Sri Aurobindo quotes, like I will try to explain it again. If there is no openness, It will not act, it will return. Thrown back or return. If some partial openness is there, some openness is there, the result may be partial or slow. If full openness or receptivity is there, then immediate effect we will find. Immediately effect. So everything depends upon your openness and receptivity. But with receptivity, there can be no more effectively and rapidly dealt with. But the problem is that some something in the nature that actually resists, that does not allow the force to work, and it can't be removed immediately. Because it is age-old story. It is old part of the nature. Suppose this receptivity is quicker, then you will be dealt with rapidly. Some people are so open that even by writing they get free before the letter reaches us. Most of the time it is advisable, once this letter is written, something is some thought is coming into mind, you are writing the letter before this is reaching Mother and Sri Aurobindo physically, because it was the story before 1950 at least. Mother as Sri Aurobindo has quoted. Before the letter reached us, through this writing, they got the immediate result. But condition is opening and the receptivity. That is what? Openness and the receptivity. That is the condition. Again, Sri Aurobindo moves forward. The yoga force is always tangible and concrete. In the way I have described and has tangible results. The yoga force. It's tangible and concrete. You can see, you can feel, you can touch. In the way, how it is force, how can I accept? I can't see the force. I can't feel the force when it is work. In work. Suppose this fan is there, I can see. If it is moving, I can see the electric energy is there, electric current, electric force is there. The vehicle is standing there. I can see the force. If it is moving, then we can see. Some force is there, I naturally feel. When I start running, I know that force. I start doing work. So I have described the tangible results, but it is invisible, not like a blow given on the rush of the motor car. Knocking somebody down with the physical senses can at once perceive. There is an accident. Example, rush of motor car knocking somebody, knocking somebody down, which the physical senses can at once perceive. This is what. But how is the mere physical mind know that there is there and it is working? By its result. That's what I kept giving examples. By the result only he can feel that some power is there. Something is there. You give a push and it is moving forward. So you can find it is the result of application of force. Fan is moving, vehicle is getting started like this. This is the result. But how can it know that the results were that of the yogic force or not something else? That is the criteria. How can you feel this is a normal force, adversary force, or it is a yoga force, yogic force, or something yogic force or something else? One of the two things it must be. That's what Sri Aurobindo wants to clarify. How can you know this is yogic force or something, this force something else? Because you can see, you can feel after the result only. So either the two ways Sri Aurobindo clarifies. Either it must allow the consciousness to go inside. Allow the consciousness to go inside, become aware of the inner things, to believe in the experience of the invisible and the supraphysical, then by experience, by opening to a new capacities, it becomes conscious of these forces and can see and follow, use their workings just as a scientist uses unseen forces of nature. So two ways, two things it must be. Number one is it must allow the consciousness to go inside, allow the consciousness to go inside, become aware of the inner things. Third, believe in the experience of the invisible and the supraphysical, and then by experience. This is what. And next one, by experience, by opening to new capacities. It becomes conscious of these forces and can see and follow and use the working as the scientists do. So two are the methods. I will tell it again. One, by allowing the consciousness to go inside, become aware of the inner things and believe the experience of the invisible and supraphysical. That is one condition. And the second one, by experience, by opening up new capacity, it becomes conscious of these forces, can see, follow, and use the working just as the scientist uses unseen forces of nature. So, by intuitive, by spiritual methods, and second by normal method, how the scientists explore the conditions. By these two processes, you can have the experience of of analyzing either this force is a yogic force or it is something else. You can also know, you can also analyze, and you can also become aware of this force, the type of force it is. Next one, Sri Aurobindo quotes, if you have a spiritual force, force is there, I am forcing him to work. It is there, something is there, it is lying, and you are applying your force and it is acting. Every time you can see. If you have a spiritual force, it can act on people through thousands of miles away who don't know and never will know that you are acting on them, and that is the being acted upon. If you have a spiritual force, here in the course, then not only near and dear ones or nearby, you will be acting on people thousands of miles away who don't know and will never know. They don't know what is really done. Sometimes they feel it is beyond my expectation, it is beyond my capacity. Things are beyond my efficiency, how they have been done. And happy, okay. It is due to some supernatural activity that it has been achieved, accomplished, or something like this. But they can't know, they can't feel even. This is acted upon. They will know there is a force enabling them to do things, and very well suppose that it is their own great energy and genius. I have done it. It is a pride for them. Great energy and genius with which I have been succeeded in accomplishing the things. It is done. I had no idea, but I have completed it. But they won't be able to know or feel, and will never know the real true reason how they are getting accomplished. They have been done, fulfilled. Then spiritual, Sri Aurobindo quotes, spiritual force has its own concreteness. You can see. But Sri Aurobindo quotes, it has got a concreteness. It can take a form already beyond our imagination. We can't understand. It has its own concreteness. It can take a form of which one is aware, and can send it quite concretely on whatever object one chooses. So don't think that it is an imaginary thing, only to be felt, to be realized, and can't be tangible. Already Sri Aurobindo has explained here, I'll quote it again. Spiritual force has its own concreteness. can take a form of which one is aware and can send it quite concretely on a whatever object one chooses. So that is the greatness of the spiritual force, magnanimity. That is the splendor of the spiritual force. Anyway, time is up. We have to wait for the next class. Thank you.